Order of operations homework. I'm going to do the problems on the left side of the page. Please make sure that you're doing these on a sheet with lined paper. The first thing that I do is I write the problem out. On the side of my paper, I write GEMDAS, grouping, exponents, multiplication, and division from left to right in addition and subtraction. When I look at my problem, I do see that there's a fraction bar here, but everything on the top is considered one group. So I'm going to put brackets around it. So I know that I have to do everything on the top first. Now, if I look inside the brackets, I have a parentheses here, and a parentheses here. There is no operation on the inside of these parentheses. So I know that I'm going to go and do exponents first. The negative is inside the parentheses. So this is -4 times -4, which gives me positive 16. I rewrite everything. Remember, if you have two parentheses standing side by side, to put your times symbol in the middle. Looking at this, I know that everything on top of this goes together. So I'm going to put my brackets so that I know to do everything on the top first. Looking at my order of operation, I do have multiplication. So I'm going to solve that. -2 times a -5 gives me a positive 10. Once again, rewriting everything, 16, the plus, -2 times -5 was 10. And then bring down my -2. Keeping this in mind that I'm still doing the grouping on top, going to solve everything on top. 16 plus 10 gives me 26 divided by -2. Put that into your calculator and you get -13. I'm going to now show you how to check this using the Desmos calculator online. Same way, I'm going to put everything in, hit the parentheses button, then -4, close your parentheses, hit the a squared, plus parentheses, -2, close your parentheses, parentheses again, -5, close your parentheses, all of this goes on the top, so I'm going to come back to the beginning, put another parentheses, in the front because I want this to be all one group. Do you see how all of this stays together? Now I'm going to come back to the end and I'm going to divide this entire thing by -2. Hit enter and you can see that our answer is -13, which was the same thing that we had on our paper. Problem number 2, I've copied it down. 34 minus 8 times 2 plus 1 minus 3 squared minus 2 squared. Notice on the side of my paper, I have again written GEMDAS. My first operation, there are no grouping, is an exponent. So I do whichever exponent comes first. Notice that this minus sign is not in a parenthesis, so that does not go with the 3. So when I put it in the calculator, it is just 3 squared, or 3 times 3, which is 9. I bring everything else down, including the minus sign that was in front. When I look at my next line, I have another exponents, 2 squared. The negative is not, the subtraction sign is not attached to the 2, so I'm only squaring the 2. 2 squared is 4. Make sure that that subtraction comes down with it. Rewrite everything. When I look at my order of operations, there's no more grouping, there's no more exponents. Multiplication and division, come whichever one comes first, left to right. I have 8 times 2. I've underlined it. 8 times 2 is 16. I then rewrite everything. 34 minus the 16 plus 1 minus 9 minus 4. Looking at my order of operation, I have no grouping, no exponents, no multiplication or division, no addition. There are addition and subtraction, whichever one comes first. So subtraction comes first. 34 minus 16, which gives me 18. Rewrite everything else. Still going in order from left to right, addition and subtraction. 18 plus 1 is 19. Rewrite everything else. Still going in order from left to right. 19 minus 9 is 10. Rewrite everything. And my last step is 10 minus 4 is 6. I'm now going to show you how to plug this question into the calculator, the Desmos calculator. So I put 34 minus 8 times 2 plus 1 minus 3, hit the a squared button, minus 2, hit the a squared button again. Go ahead and hit enter and you'll see our answer is 6, which we got on the paper. Problem number 3, I've written it down. Once again, on the side of my paper, I've written GEMDES. This one has the absolute value bars. The absolute value bars are acting as a grouping. So once again, I must do what's inside the grouping first. Negative 4 minus 20 is negative 24. Bring down the absolute value bars. You are going to then rewrite everything else, divided by 8 plus the square root of 121. I do grouping first, so I have my absolute value bars, which are acting as a grouping. The absolute value of negative 24 is 24. Rewrite the entire problem. Go back over to your order of operations. I've done my grouping. Exponents. The square root of 121 is the opposite of an exponent, so you are going to do that one. The square root of 121 is 11. Write 11 right underneath. Bring the 24 divided by 8 down. Looking at my order of operations, I've done the grouping, I've done the exponents. Is there any multiplication or division? There is. 24 divided by 8. Go ahead and put that into your calculator. You get 3. Bring down everything else. This is my last operation. It's also the last step. Addition. 3 plus 11 is 14. To put this into the Desmos calculator, you are going to first start off with the absolute value bar. It's this one with the A and the 2 lines. Go ahead and put in negative 4 minus 20, absolute value bar. You are dividing this all by 8. Use your mouse or your cursor and move to the side. So come down here and move over to the side. Plus the square root, not this one, the square root of 121. You'll see that we got 14, the same as on the paper. Problem number 4. First thing I do is I write GEMDAS on the side of my paper. Then I rewrite the problem. Notice that there's a fraction or a division line here. There's operations on top and there's operations on bottom. These act as grouping. So I went ahead and I added my brackets to both the top and the bottom. This lets me know I must do everything in this bracket first. Then I must do everything in this bracket before I can do the division. So let's take a look at just the top bracket. I have 3 squared minus 2 times 4. Following my order of operations, I see that exponents comes before the multiplication and division, so I'm going to do that first. 3 squared is 9. Rewrite everything. Minus 2 times 4. Rewrite everything on the bottom. I'm keeping my brackets so that I know I must do everything on the top first. Looking at this, I have a subtraction and I have a multiplication. I know that multiplication comes first. 2 times 4. Rewrite everything on the top. 9 minus 8, which was 2 times 4. Rewrite the bottom. Still following along, I have all of this grouping I have to do first. So I'm going to do the grouping on the top. 9 minus 8 gives me 1. Then I rewrite everything that is on the bottom. Remember, this is still its own group. So we have to solve everything on the bottom. I notice that I have a multiplication, an exponent, and a minus. If I come back to my order of operations, I see that all of this grouping I'm doing, the exponent's going to come first. 4 squared, the negative does not go with it, is 16. Bring down that subtraction sign. Multiply 6 times 3 minus 16. Next thing I do is I do my multiplication. 6 times 3 gives me 18. 18 minus 16, and I brought down the 1 that I've already done. Finish up the grouping on the bottom. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring this down, so I have 1/2. To put this one into the Desmos calculator, you are going to start off with your 3, make sure you're hitting the squared button, minus 2, parentheses, 4, close your parentheses. If you hit the divide by button, notice that it only divides by the last part of the equation. Backspace. You want to divide by the entire top. We are going to make this its own group by putting the entire top in a parentheses. Now you may hit the divide by button and notice that it makes a division line across the entire top. Put in what's underneath, 6 parentheses, 3, close your parentheses, minus 4 squared. Hit enter. We got 0.5. Remember that 1/2 is the same as 0.5. The last question says 5 squared divided by 5 times parentheses 2 plus 4. Once again, on the side of my paper, I write GEMDAS. Looking at this, I have grouping, so I must do that first. 2 plus 4 is 6. Rewrite the entire equation. Looking at my order of operations, I see that exponents come next. 5 squared is 25. Rewrite the entire equation. Looking at this, I have a division and a multiplication. Remember that multiplication and division come at the same time in order from left to right. So division is going to be first this time because it comes first in the order of left to right. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Bring down the times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. I'm going to show you how to put this one into the Desmos calculator. We are going to start off with 5 squared. You are dividing this by 5. Notice now that your cursor is underneath the 5 squared. If we were to hit the times button, we would still be under. We do not want that. So you are going to use your mouse to come to the side. Now you can hit times, parentheses, 2 plus 4, close your parentheses. Hit enter, and notice that we got 30.